don't know, a week, over a week since I've been on this endeavor. What did I start Tuesday? No, it's been a week and a half. So this is for those of you who are kind of following, this is a little bit longer of a post. So here we go. We're going to swap camera view. I'm in the middle of the ice rink right now. So that's that way. And this is not looking beautiful, but it's looking okay. I've got a rough spot there and I've got a rough spot there. And those were made from what I'm doing over here, sprinkling. But sprinkling is the best way to cool down your water before it hits. So it's an easy way to make a base layer. My problem there is I let those two run too long, namely overnight. And so I can't cover over the top of them, is a problem. And so this is a corner, I just barely got hose enough out to that spot. And I'm just trying to melt down all of this snow. So that's kind of the hope. And then with enough left over, hopefully it fills up. This side is looking a lot better, except the further we go, so there's rough there too. That all needs to be filled in. You can see the lights. You can see the lights. Right there are built in. Those ones aren't flooded yet. So over here we've got some canyons, and that's the problem over here. And we've got rough stuff. So this might be our rougher side. But we've got a nice canyon there where I let the hose run all night. That was that was a mistake. I have one here where I did similar, but it's not quite as bad. And there's a hole there. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to let that run for the majority of the evening, that sprinkler. We're going to let that hit, and whew, that's a little bit thin there. But I am standing on about four inches right now. We're going to let that run. I think I put this down earlier today, right here on this spot I'm standing on. And the border, it's doing its job, because high side over there, we didn't need much of a border, but right there, the ice is actually right up to the edge and not there. And so we want to fill in more there. We want to fill in anywhere where the ice is not up to the edge. And so you can kind of see there's a hump. And especially if I come down this way, you can't see it very well. Well, with the naked eye, you can see it a little bit better than with the camera. And so what's happening is there's quite a bit. There's about 3 inches worth of hump that we can still build up to from about the place that I'm standing forward. And that's what we want to do. We just want to make this nice and flat and smooth. You can hear the water hit the snow and the ice. I'm standing in slush right now. I probably shouldn't stand in the slush. But all in all, this hasn't been too bad. It's been a long process. This makes me want to put on my skates right now, actually, because it's looking so good here and I can avoid the spots. And we do have, like, let's go and measure off. I mean, I'm willing to do some paces. I know it's 100 the long way. I'm more worried about the other way. And so this is a spot here. This is just solid ice outside of the rink where the sprinkler got cockeyed. Okay, the trick with your sprinklers, you don't want the sprinkler in the ice. That's what happened here, is I had a sprinkler that was in the middle, and that's bad. So here we go. Get about 3 feet of pace. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's about what I thought. 36 feet, around 36. It's a little bit shorter because of edges and the overlap in the center. Ooh, and that's just a beautiful shot. That's a beautiful shot there of my sprinkler. So once again, the sprinkler, the nice part is that your sprinkler, what it does is it cools down the water before it hits the ground. Because coming out of the hose, doesn't matter where you live too much, coming out of the ground, it's usually around 50 degrees. And so it still has to cool off 18 full degrees before it can even start the freezing process. So this cools it down. I'm not sure how many degrees it cools it down. Probably a lot, depending on what your air temperature is. Our air temperature here is somewhere around, I don't know, 10, 15 degrees by now. It was 30 earlier in the day, which was kind of nice because that melted the top of the ice. Melted. What we want to do is these peaks and towers, we want it to melt and soften down. And I think it will over the next few days. That's what it's going to do. It's going to warm up to about freezing during the day. And then we want that to happen because that top layer will melt bottom layer will stay frozen. That's what we want. So we want it to even out. But for right now, I'm just going to let that sprinkler go. I think it's going to take care of that snow eventually. And I still have to make my Zamboni. So for all of you out there in YouTube land, that was it. This camera makes it look a heck of a lot more blue than it actually is. It's actually very dark right now. So kudos to you, dark taking picture camera. And my hands are getting cold and I don't have gloves on, so I'm just going to let that sprinkler go. And I think it's doing its job. I can see where it's filling in. And it's just slow. So once I put that sprinkler in there, it takes the flow down, the gallons per minute down, which is fine because we don't need it filling too fast. You fill too fast, you start melting your ice underneath. And so hopefully in the morning we have a really nice rink. I'm going to check on it before then though.